All right. Welcome once again, Kung Fu Discussion Group, Episode 7, Recovery Practice. As always, it's me, your Uncle Sickness. With me, YogaMidnight and Maeko. Gentlemen, how's it going today?
It's good.
Well,
as you can see, I've upgraded, and now our actual names, instead of like real names, but our internet personas.
Soul names.
Yes, the real me. So, recovery practice. One of the biggest obstacles that beginners definitely face in learning a martial art is they practice really hard. You know, they get excited and they work as hard as they can. And then they wake up the next day and they can't move one or more parts of their bodies. You know, anybody who's spent a lot of time being lazy and slobby and then tries to go to a gym, you know, that after that first leg day, the next day they're like, oh, I can't walk. That happens in the world of martial arts too, especially, well, I mean, I was just about to say, especially with external type martial artists, but really it's anybody, because if you start, if you aren't smart about how you increase that workload, if it isn't a progressive, controlled increase in terms of exercise level, there's going to be some problems. You know, you're going to find yourself stiff back, stiff legs, stiff shoulders. You know, they're going to do that, you know, walking like the first wave of G.I. Joe action figures. No articulation, you know, arms go up, legs go, and nothing else moves. You know? So the way around that is recovery practices. Now, recovery practices, it's a pretty broad range of things, but what you usually see is stretching and massage. So my own, the recovery practices that I've learned over the years, I've learned some massage, like I can give people massages, but most of what I've learned for recovery is self-massage stuff. Internal martial arts, I'm not too sure about like Southern Chinese styles, but Northern styles, definitely. They're going to teach you how to give yourself a rub down, at the least, to kind of recover from some of those deep stances, some of those big motions that they favor so much. Other things that can be involved are, you know, herbal treatments. If you're familiar with the iron palm type stuff, or you've seen any kung fu movie set in the Shaolin Temple, they'll have guys pounding, you know, big wooden posts or pounding blocks, and then they kind of bathe their hands in these ointments, you know, mixtures of herbs and wine and stuff like that, and to help with the, you know, bring the swelling down, help reduce the bruising, stuff like that, to make sure that you don't do permanent damage to the joints and especially the nerves. Those also fall into recovery practices. You know, it's basically like a mix of health maintenance, mobility, and like basic traumatology. So that's usually what health practices will encompass for martial arts. So that's what we're
define traumatology, aside from the obvious, like, you know, what I could pull from the words.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, if you're training realistically, you know, we've mentioned in previous episodes my preference for bare knuckle, no equipment, straight up sparring where you're getting hit. If you're sparring with people like that, then yeah, you're gonna, every once in a while there's gonna be a slip. You know, somebody might dislocate their wrist or a finger. Somebody might get a broken nose. Somebody might get a black eye. You know. And even if you're using pads, that sort of thing can happen. The protective equipment, the helmets, the gloves, the chest protectors, that stuff can happen anyway. So if you're learning a martial art, it's kind of, you know, a good teacher, it's I'm going to flex my vocab here. It's incumbent on a good teacher to really show, you know, to show the students, look, if this happens, like minimum is, if this happens, this is how you take care of it. But when it inevitably happens, hey, everybody, come here. This is how you got a dislocated finger, or, you caught one in the nose. This is how you set that. This is how you put this back into place. Oh, you've got a really deep bruise. All right. Here's I don't have the herbal skills. I don't have, the full on medical skills. So I couldn't mix up like a medical wine or a jiao, treatment, but I can show people how to use self-massage to deal with bruises. It's unpleasant because, I'm sure, as you know from your experience of having bruises in your life, last thing you want to do is start poking it and kneading it and really grinding it. But that's the, if you want to heal from bruises fast, you rub them out. Beyond that, there's a different sort of stretch for recovery than the sort of stretching you would do for increasing the range of motion or increasing the strength of an area. The sort of exercises you do to open up the shoulders, say, are different than the sort of exercises you would do to work out the lactic acid buildup in the shoulders from doing a lot of push-ups or doing a lot of strikes or doing a lot of, like hitting the bag, hitting a post, something like that. You're gonna need to work that out. So, as many people will notice, Matt, going by the name YogaMidnight, he's got some yoga experience.
Well, I've been my phone's almost dead, and I can't hear without the headphones. I'm gonna see if I can set it up on my tablet at the same time.
Yoga.
Could you actually email me the link to the invite?
Sure. But to continue the conversation, yoga is a nice way to kind of incorporate some explicitly recovery oriented practices, and it doesn't necessarily cost anything extra. Time wise, you're gonna have to, you can lay there like a lump and suffer, or you can do a minimum of additional work and be ready to go the next time you have a training session. Because that's the ultimate point. You can't train hard every day and just indefinitely rise. And you're not Kal-El of Krypton. Nobody is. You're not going to wake up and be like, yes, I can exert myself indefinitely and I have unlimited stamina. No, no matter who you are, there's going to be a period where you just, you hit that wall and you need to relax. So if you're serious about advancing as quickly as possible, or, developing your skill to a great depth, you're going to need to do something to handle those days where, yeah, I'm stiff. I don't feel like practicing, or I can't get up and practice because I can't get out of the bed. Recovery practice is specifically intended for that. Nice. So,
yes, it's working. Rock.
So, there's something that I pulled up was actually Grey's Anatomy. It's a leather-bound copy. And I was just looking at I'll just show you the ligaments, basically, just what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Just if you have a copy of just basic anatomical stuff, just to see where all the body parts connect, to where you'd probably be able to figure out where all the stress is going in your hands. Like if you're striking wood, if you're striking sand, or if you're exerting a lot of pressure on a specific part of your body, just targeted, you'd be able to target the specific bits of wherever you're feeling pain.
Yeah. It can, I mean,
most people don't have a copy of Grey's Anatomy just, lying around, but
it's I'd say nowadays it's more of an issue with people not realizing how to use their bodies.
Yeah.
Is the problem that immediately stands out to me. You know,
At all.
yeah, like, you know, I'm obviously I grew up playing team sports, so everyone I grew up with, even the fat kids, even the undersized kids, even the, you know, everybody played at least one team sport. So people knew how to use their bodies, you know. Nowadays, you see a lot of people, and they're just, you know, like, what are you doing is what comes to my mind. I see people out here that I think that they're 10 years, 15 years older than me. I find out they're 5 years younger than me here in Ohio. You know, or you see people like, you know, their hips rocked all the way back. They get that sway back thing going on where everything in the lower back is pinched. The hips are not underneath the torso. So, you know,
yeah, just proper alignment.
yeah, that basic alignment stuff. People, I have weak knees. No, you don't have weak knees. You have knock knees.
Yeah.
You don't have a bad back. You're you know, you're throwing all your weight forward, walking on your toes. You're, you know, oh, I've got bone spurs. You don't have bone spurs. You're walking on your heels all the time. You're only using 2% of your foot surface to walk. It's gonna, you know, Alex just mentioned the tendons and ligaments. A lot of the problems people have with their backs, hips, and legs, it's just a combination of bad alignment and bad weight distribution.
Yeah.
I've had experiences teaching where I've started talking about, all right, we're going to distinguish yin and yang. That's an important part of an internal martial art. Tai Chi Chuan, Bagua Zhang, Xing Yi Chuan. You have to learn to distinguish yin and yang areas of the body, yin and yang, weight, force, tension, distributions. Oh, I don't need to do that. Yeah, you do need to do that.
Yeah.
When the two of us walk through, you know, I lived for years in the Jamaica Plain area. Arnold Arboretum. It's a big botanical garden is there, as you both know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's best
Like
place.
walking around through the Arboretum, it's like, look back at the trail we just left, I said with one guy. My footprints are prints of my feet. You can clearly tell that my weight is evenly distributed on my feet.
Cool.
Look at yours. Yours are like these fucking weird gargoyle things, you know? Look at this. It's all up here. On your left foot, it's all up in the toes. On your right foot, it's all in the ball and nothing else.
Cool.
Nothing else for either foot. That is an improper weight distribution. You're not even, like, not only is your weight concentrated in one spot when it should be spread evenly over the surface of the foot, it's not even concentrated in the same spot between both feet. You know? Do you, like, you think you need a surgery for plantar fasciitis? No, you need to learn how to stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have back problems. You have doesn't know how to stand up problems. And I'm not going to do my normal shit talk and mockery because it's a serious issue, a quality of life issue. You know, people are out there suffering and they don't need to be. It's so easy. So the basic exercise is really just that Wu Ji position. You just stand up. A nice natural stance, you know. It's
one thing I wanted talking about yoga and one of the most quickly gained benefits that I got from practicing yoga is through a sort of like listening, like an increased like listening to the body, like it creates a sort of conversation because now you're not just a brain floating around with like a theoretical like, you know, robot puppet, you know. It's like it's, you know, part and parcel you. And like when you were saying about like going hardcore with kung fu training right straight out the gate, like the first year I was practicing, like I gained a lot of like internal power, but like I felt like shit a lot of the time, you know, like my like I'm walking around like the Tin Man, you know? Like, and my practice has definitely developed. It's very Spartan, I guess, because that's how I like to think. So I have like a daily routine, which is based largely on, you know, hitting the main joints, working the spine, you know, like the different ways you can move it. You can go like side to side, kind of like corkscrew, and then like bowing the back, and also hips, and like, you know, like a lot of attention to like the hips and like the inner thighs. It's the places that get tight because the way that we sit isn't good for us. Like if we lived in a culture where we sat on the ground, we wouldn't have back pain, you know.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people are doing, you know, people are getting surgery for problems that just get off your ass, you know. Oh, I need to sit down. You don't need to sit down.
Right.
They're cradled.
Stretch out. Yeah, exactly. Like stretch. Like do some lunges. You know. You don't need to sit down.
Simple stuff. You know. People used to be shocked. Before getting sick, my flexibility was at its height. You know, they'd say something like, "Oh, I can't." I'd say something about, "Yeah, do this stance." "Oh, I can't. I'm not flexible enough to do that." Come on, you know. If you're not even as big as me, I can do splits. "Oh, that's impossible." Bam, you can do splits. "Oh, that'll take forever." No, it won't. Your excuses will make it take forever. But if you do this every day, guarantee you, in under 100 days, you're going to be almost where I am.
Cool.
You're not going to be doing the, you know, people don't necessarily do the really cool show off stuff where they lift one leg up straight in the air. Like that's going to take a little bit longer to do, but just passive stretching. Yeah. You don't even need to do that, you know, literally 15 minutes a day. You don't have 15 minutes.
Exactly.
To like sit on your ass and try and grab your toes, or at YMAA, what they call vitamin H, passive hamstring stretch. Just stand up, bend 90 degrees at the waist, rest your arms, head, and upper body on something so that the weight of that area is supported, and then just relax and let gravity stretch out your hamstrings and your calves. It's so simple. And, you know, people, they'd rather expend all the energy and effort to make an excuse for why they can't do something that children do unconsciously. You know?
I had a fun experience. Well, two. One that was way back in high school. I had been doing. I was just going off from doing Aikido into doing sports, which is at this point I was doing crew. I was rowing on the Charles River, and they were testing to see how far we could stretch, because how far we could stretch our hands past our toes. Just they would do each leg individually, and then they would do both legs, because, you know, see how far you can send the oar to bring it back, and then pull and propel the whole boat. And usually you're in a team of 4 or 8, or, you know, if you're really hardcore, you're doing 2, or if you're doing a solo, using 2 oars, but usually you'd have one oar. They tested to see how far I could stretch each leg, and I was able to stretch my hand. Here's my foot about this far on both feet, and I was able to bring it like maybe about just under, I think, what I was able to get on both feet. But it wasn't like, I wasn't able to like touch my head to my toe, my knees or anything like that. But I was like, because I was doing Aikido, because we were stretching all the time in Aikido. As soft as a martial art as it is, it worked wonders on my hamstrings. And when they read out the numbers, you know, like, all right, you know, this many inches, this many inches, this many inches, you know, on both legs. And I heard someone yell, "What the fuck? Like, how are you able to stretch that far?" Because everyone else, like, all the other guys that were in the rowing team would barely, like, maybe 2 of them were able to get it this far.
Yeah.
But the rest of them were like, one of them was able to get here, and they were able to get this far on the other foot, which is like, you're so, like, one hamstring is clearly stretched out because that's your dominant leg, but the other one you don't even use aside from walking.
Yeah.
Which was like, it was just bizarre to me. And then, yeah, I do have I have a preference to my legs, but I still try to stretch them both out. And it was so bizarre. I'm like, how are you guys this bad? They're like, oh, well, we got medical. It's like, why the fuck are you rowing that? Why are you trying to put yourself out and, like, you know, try to participate in a sport that, you know, every year there's the head of the Charles and you think you're going to be in the head of the Charles. I know I'm not. I never rode for the head of the Charles for my team.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't the best. I wasn't on the varsity team, which is, it is what it is, but it was still, I still took care of my body.
Yeah.
But there were girls that I was beating by stretching out so far with my hamstring. And it was bizarre to me because all of them were able to at least get their fingers past their feet just a little bit. But I was beating everybody with how far I could stretch my hands over my feet. And it was the strangest thing ever. Cause there's it was just like, how am I more flexible than all of you combined? Like I'm not by any stretch of the means, I'm not one of the best people on the team. I'm certainly not average. I was actually below average. I was actually really awful on that team. I ended up leaving that and going to do just track and throwing javelins, which was lots of fun because I was throwing spears around. But it was still just like, how am I beating all of you? It was just like,
it's that regular practice. You know, there's the improvement that you get from regular exercise. You know, you work hard, you're going to get gains, like they say in the weightlifting world.
Yeah.
But then when you have a recovery practice, you don't just recover from the exertion and the fatigue from the workout. You get another different sort of workout.
Yeah.
So let's say, you know, just exercising, you know, using random numbers. Let's say you get a 5% increase in your flexibility and your stamina from working out every day. All right, well, if you have like a very low tier, not very efficient, not very thorough type of recovery practice, you can get another 5% or so. Now you're getting 10% of improvement every day. And if you're doing both every day, that's 10% every day. So everybody else is just, they're getting 5%, maybe 5 days out of the week because they got to take 2 days off to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting 20 days in a 30-day month where they're exercising, and then 10 days where they're sitting on ass because they have to. But you're getting twice as much development every single day. So that's why, like, you know, that kind of thing we all learn in the world of martial arts when you start dealing with other people. If somebody is telling you how many years they've been practicing, you know, if, like, you know, Alex is in his mid-20s, you meet another guy your age and he's telling you, oh, I've been doing martial arts for 20 years. Yeah, you're probably not doing it every day.
Yeah.
Probably not doing it for multiple hours every day. You're probably one of those.
I definitely wasn't. I was doing it like once a week. I would go every Saturday to, you know, Aikikai practice. And it was great. It was, you know, miles ahead of everyone else my age at the time. And I'm sure there's other guys that are far better than me now because I don't practice because I'm dealing with this little stinker. His name is Odysseus, but he, you know, dealing with him and dealing with the other big one. And I'm just like, you know, your time is consumed by just everyday stuff. And, you know, bills, you got to work, you're working overtime. I'm about to do like a 10-hour shift tonight, you know? So it's like life gets in the way, but it's also taking the discipline to, like, if you really want to, you know.
Yeah, if you want it, you'll find time.
Yeah.
Whether you have to sneak elements of practice into your work day.
And that's
right.
Someone was looking at me funny because I started, like, I kind of sat down and I just started doing this just with my hands. And then I started doing the chi ball thing. Yeah. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing.
Minding my business. What are you doing?
Right? What are you doing? Yeah, right? I'm keeping my mouth shut so dicks don't get thrown in there. How about you? But it's that simple. You know, you put it, if you want it, you're going to find time to do it. If you don't want it, you're going to find excuses not to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's, you know, right there, we've already got a 2x2 matrix, you know, of 4 possibilities. There's want it, you want it, and you make the time. There's you want it, but you don't make the time. There's you don't make the time, but you want it. There's you don't want it and you don't make the time. I mean, people, again, you know, certain individuals that have been mocked pretty much every episode we've recorded so far. How do you do push-ups for 2 years and not gain any muscle definition? How do you do, you know, oh, I've been doing 100 sit-ups every day. Yeah. Have you? Because
The butt up.
Yeah, exactly. Sit up. That's like the push-up. You're fucking doing. What are you doing? You know? That spine wave thing you told me about, that doesn't do anything. No, you don't do anything. The spine wave is fucking dynamite. I learned that from YMAA. The spine wave, you know, you've seen people use a whip before. Your tailbone is the handle. Your spine is the cord. You get that wave going, it moves every joint in the spine. It'll work out everything in your torso. It'll tone. It'll low key tone everything in your torso all the way up the neck. You know, obviously you don't want your head, you know, jerking around, so you don't bring the wave all the way up. You're, you know, to the base of the skull. You bring it up to the top of the shoulders.
Yeah.
But it's a nice, simple exercise. It takes a long time for most people. It takes a couple of months from, most people to learn to coordinate their body to perform the motion. And then it takes months more to really refine the motion and get good at it. But if you know, today is September 15th. If you learned it today, by September 15th, 2020, you would have a nice visible wave going. You'd be able to do it in at least one direction because obviously you do it ground up, but you also do it top down. Mm-hmm. So you want to have that mobility going. You know, the spine wave comes from Dr. Yang's Tai Chi Chuan practice. It's a great health exercise, but from a martial standpoint, what it ends up teaching you how to do is pass force through your structure. So if somebody pushes on you, you've got that hand up to intercept.
That's interesting. Yeah.
They put the force in, you very easily guide it right down into the ground. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know, instead of trying to clash brute force on brute force, you redirect their force. So it's definitely a higher level skill. You know, it's easier to redirect somebody's force by moving their strike off the target on your body that they're striking at. But it's another thing to meet that force and pass it through you and into the ground. The higher level of that is you rebound it off the ground, pass the rebound force through you and back into them. So they get a nice double dose of their own force, you know?
Cool. Yeah, one of the benefits people don't, well, one of the most noticeable casual benefits of martial arts practice that I've received is the ability to move through crowds safer, you know, smoother, you know, like, you know, avoiding people who are in trouble, you know what I mean? Like keeping balance. If somebody tries to, you know, somebody's like passively trying to, like, you know, someone gives you a little kick or something, but it's like, yeah, but I'm doing chicken stands, so I'm not going to, you know, it's like, that's, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They go to throw the shoulder check at you, they bounce off. Fun stuff.
And giving them the "I'll fucking kill you" eye.
Yeah,
you know?
right? Exactly. Or the disdain, the Boston face fold disdain. Give him the finger gun. What's up, Chief? Talk to him like you're an asshole stepdad. How's it going, killer?
Speaking of shoulder checks and bouncing off, I got a fun story from my grandfather there were a bunch of dudes in Japan that were trying to rough people up, and he did exactly this. So he was in either Osaka or he was in Kyoto, and I forget which one, but he was like there's the base in Osaka, but he was in Kyoto for whatever reason during the Korean conflict, and I'm pretty sure he was older than me. He was like in his 30s. He was a chief warrant officer at this point, but he there was a briefing that went around to the other warrant officers and the enlisted army enlisted, that there were a bunch of dudes roughing guys up, you know, Japanese guys that were obviously they were loyal to, you know, the Japanese Empire, and didn't like the Americans being around. Just, you know, just minding their own business.
Yeah.
Going to drill or going to their station, then going home wherever if they had a you know, an apartment offsite or something like that. But there was an ensign or something, a junior naval officer that basically got his face kicked in, and then I think there was a second lieutenant that got his face kicked in pretty bad.
Whoa.
So they were saying, like, you know, just be careful. So he's like, all right. So he was walking near this bridge where this second lieutenant got his face kicked in. And there was this, you know, he saw these three guys. And he goes, okay, I see how it is. And these dudes, they walked past each other across the bridge. They immediately turned around, and he was just flexing both of his pectoral muscles up here. He was just flexing everything in the front, just getting ready for whatever they were going to do. And he had his hand, he had made a pair of fists in his pocket, and so he was ready to just like, ah!
Yeah,
army death, whatever kind of bullshit he was trained to do. And he turned around because he could hear them walking up really fast behind him, and these were small guys too. Like in Japan, the average height is like you're the average person for, like, you know, West in general is this tall. They're about this tall. So one of them takes like a fist, and just bounces right off his chest. And goes, huh. And then he kind of just went like this, and he's like, "You want to try that again?" But he said it in Japanese, and they're like, and he was big too. He was my height or a little bit shorter. But he was, you know, he would work out all the time, and it was just so funny because they're like, "Oh shit!" And all three of them ran off, and they never had a problem with it ever again. With these three dudes, but it was funny because he was like, "I'm gonna go sort out this problem."
Yeah,
interesting. He went and found the bridge.
A mid 20th century version of what are you gonna do with that besides make me mad?
Basically.
And that's all it takes. And right there, I mean, that's a great example of situational awareness and having the capacity to defend yourself. You know, there are a lot of these people that they don't want to, they want the skill, but they don't want to put the work in.
Yeah, that's like most people do. I'm just, matrix it, download it.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
If you want the skill, you have to be ready to earn it.
Yeah, I mean, Neo still had to he still had that training session with Morpheus where he explained, like, stop trying to hit me and hit me. Yeah, you're out here narrating to yourself. No, internal monologues don't win fights. Voiceovers don't win fights.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking effort wins fights. Training wins fights.
Mm.
But you can't, you know, to circle back a little bit, you can't train to fight if you can't handle the training. So I don't understand the mentality of tubby, pudgy, sloppy people. Why do you want to? I want a six-pack. Why? Well, if I had a six-pack, and then if you had a six-pack, you think women will be prevented from telling you, no, I won't have sex with you. That's why you want a fucking six-pack. Well, blah, 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 blah. It's ridiculous. You want a six-pack, but you won't stop drinking soda and fucking PBRs every night.
Mm-hmm.
You won't stop eating McDonald's twice a day. What'd you say?
I remember being 16 and thinking like that. If I had a six-pack, girls would like me. But me with my glasses looking, fucking goofy looking face and absolutely no experience of, like, talking to people, forget women. Like, like looking back and be like, what are you doing? Just stop. Why? Like, stop. Like, you're trying to work harder, but you need to solve a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. Work smarter. You can work hard and be dumb and it's wasted effort, or you can work hard in a productive fashion and succeed.
Yeah.
With I had one experience teaching somebody, and I bet neither you can guess who I'm indirectly referencing from the look on my face, but when I controlled the training for 3 months, really rapid progress was made. You know, when this dude is coming to see me every day for 3 months, that's 90 days. 90 days of training every day, at least 2 hours.
Cool.
Right. He made good progress. And then he repeated a joke that he'd heard somebody else make at work. And this 25-year-old white girl went, hee 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 hee. Said he was funny. All of a sudden, well, I'm not going to be able to make it tomorrow, bro. We're going out for drinks after work. Yeah. Are you? Yeah, you're going out for drinks. That sounds great. And that was it. That was the end of it. There's been no progress.
Oh wow! There's
no
just like
progress.
it's like one chink, and then that's the end of it.
One fucking giggle, and he's like, oh yeah, no, I could definitely fuck this girl. You can't because you don't get social cues. You don't understand. She didn't laugh because she's millimeters away from giving you sex. She laughed because that was a fucking amusing comment that caught her by surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, yeah, totally.
It's ridiculous. You go out, you aren't gaining muscle. You bought a polo shirt that was one size too small. Oh, look at my guns. They're the same fucking sausage flab tubes that they were before. It's insane. The lengths that people they'll put that work in, and this is the part that really bugs me, is you won't go to the gym and hire a personal trainer and work out to get, the beach body that you want. But you'll put in the infinitely greater amount of effort to convince yourself that it's not me that's out of shape. It's the world that has unrealistic standards.
Yeah, fuck out of here. Totally.
Exactly. Because
the world is out of shape. Yeah,
totally. There are fat dudes getting laid every day. There are ugly women getting laid every day. There are fat supermodels right now. There is no I can't because of society. No, you can't because of you. It's garbage.
Fat supermodels. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But, that will never not confuse the hell out of me. It's like, why are you? Supermodels are supposed to be, the ideal physical form, the physical human form of what every human is trying to achieve, but they got to roll the genetic dice, and they were able to do it a lot easier than everybody else. I got a cousin that's doing modeling in Chicago, but he's working as a waiter at a high-end restaurant, which he's a really good-looking guy. Like, I'm not, like, we're related, but you would never know that, like, that we're related to our grandfather. We have, his mom is my dad's sibling or something like that. But, like being fat is not ideal human form. You lose. If you're trying to fight for your life, you fucking lose.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're trying to fight other human beings, you most definitely lose.
There's been a lot floating around on the social media lately. A couple of things that people are posting, and they're not realizing that there's a direct correlation. Since the 80s, the rate of obesity has gone way, way up in a lot of countries. Well, it's very interesting. The rate of autism, like autistic people being born, has gone way, way up too. When you really look at it, it's funny. People started turning into fat, tubby motherfuckers in the 1980s. And then all these autistic babies started being born in the 90s. That's very interesting. I wonder if there could be a connection. No, but of course, it's got to be like, people are injecting atomic-sized Israels into children to make them, it's not vaccines that are making kids come out weird or sick. It's if two fat diabetics have a baby, that baby is in a really bad position to start. It's not, doctors aren't poisoning you, the Christians aren't putting fucking curses on you, or if you're a Christian, it's not the witches putting, you know, hexes on you. It's you're not healthy, and an unhealthy person is going to produce an unhealthy child.
Right.
I've said
Also, in terms of like fertility rates too, you know, like we were talking earlier about, you know, like low testosterone levels, or you know,
you actually,
it's not a mystery, you know.
Right? You have gray skin. No matter what your race is, your skin is gray. You're not supposed to look like dirty dishwater water.
Like a dirty dishwasher.
Bro, that's not what I meant. That's you know, like if you're you know, one of my jobs in you know, high school and college was washing windows. Well, after you wash the windows, you get like a bucket full of weird gray scum-filled water with this like visible crust on the top. Your skin's not supposed to look like that. You know, if you're white, you're not supposed to look like that. If you're not white, you're not supposed to look like that. You're supposed to be whatever you're supposed to be. It's not. There are no. I've already said this joke before, but it's a good one. There are no gray-skinned humans. So what's going on? Why is it like this suddenly? Oh, the government's controlling us. Yeah, are they? Because they're just like you. They don't know what they're doing either. So, you know, it's insane.
Brad, you precisely described a certain pair that I know. One of them is actually, you know, his IQ is at, I would say, a little bit above room temperature. And this broad, they were married, they divorced, and now they're dating again. And like they're like a pair of bowling balls. Like they're shaped like a pair of bowling balls. Like I don't get, like, how do you guys even like get any? Like you guys have to like turn yourselves like heads facing each other and like go like this and hope that maybe you like something happens.
It just lasts for 3 minutes, so it doesn't matter logistically. You know, it's like.
But like, you know, she's completely insane, and this dude's like just like dumb as a stump. But like they managed to somehow have a kid, and she just got another kid from another dude. But like this kid's like, this kid that they had is already like losing the genetic dice, or he's already lost it. It's just seeing how bad the fallout is. And this other kid of theirs that this guy's adopted was from another dude this chick was with, that he turned out to be a complete psychopath, and he got locked up for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now his family's like trying to do some bullshit, trying to take the child back. But I don't know exactly what that entails, if they're trying to come around here or not. But like, anyways, this kid is legitimately like severely autistic. Like it's very clear that there are symptoms of Down syndrome, like just the shape of the skull and the eyes, just the way that the eyes are positioned in the skull, and the way the cheekbones rise on the face. Like this kid is gonna not do great things I mean, most people don't do great things, but like this kid's like, he's already lost the genetic dice, and it's because this chick, this freaking bowling ball of a human being, decided to do sex with something with what, it doesn't matter if he was like in great shape or not.
Yeah.
But so it's just a precise example of what you were describing. It's like two fat
genetic damage is real.
300-pound diabetics that are fucking.
Yeah, you can live an unhealthy life and fuck up your DNA, and then pass that fucked upness on to some poor child who's going to come out with who knows, you know?
Yeah.
George Carlin used to say about the American education and political system, garbage in, garbage out. Well, unfortunately, children work the same way. But when a child is born all messed up, it's not their fault. It's your fault. Unless it's one of those, you know, there's always those 1 in a million instances where there's no way anybody could know what was going to happen. But with a lot of these things, people are trying to paint themselves as some, you know, like you're a martyr. My child has problems. Yeah, problems that you created for them. You made this mess, and then you put this poor little kid into this situation, and now this kid, you know, this kid's quality of life or their life expectancy is impacted because you just had to have those 3 McRibs in a row. It's a shame.
Yeah.
But one way to avoid that sort of thing is to have a nice consistent, systematic exercise regimen. Even if it's just, I've told people, if it's 5 minutes a day, every other day, that's better than no minutes a day ever. Consistency is much more important in the long run than intensity. You can get away with, I only practice my martial arts on Saturday, if you practice every Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You won't advance as quickly as somebody who's practicing for an hour every day, but the same thing can be said about that person. If Matt's practicing 6 hours every day and I'm practicing 1 hour every day, who's gonna advance faster? Who's gonna develop more quickly? You know, if you want the gains faster, you have to put the work in. But it's simple. As long as you do anything, it's better than doing nothing.
Yeah. I a lot of times I like the analogy of building a house. You know, I think you need to build a very deep foundation and then make it strong. And I think the first step is that, you know, putting the time in over a long period of time. I love when I initially started practicing Yi, I remember reading or hearing from you that there was, you know, some mystery in Chinese martial, you know, 3 months is like a thing, like there's something, you know, something magic in like the 3 months. Yeah. And I definitely experienced that, because at that point the practice was so embedded that that's my baseline. Not doing the practice makes me feel sick. You know what I mean? It's not like I feel good when I do it and like normal. It's like if I don't do it, then I feel shitty. So I feel like doing things like having regular practice in general is like number one. I feel like it's important to have at least one period of time where one is like really, really pushing themselves, you know, even if that can't be sustained indefinitely, as a testament to what you can accomplish. And again, to like further fortify that, like, you know, for times when life gets in the way, if you're working a late shift, you know, or you're like, you know, traveling for business and then coming home and doing another gig off the bus. You can adjust to those changes easier if you've put in the work. I don't think you can adjust to them if you didn't put in the work. You know what I mean? You'll just fall back into, you know, lethargy.
Yes. Yeah. If you're staying up till 2-3 in the morning every night, eating junk food and drinking soda, or even worse, you know, I last night had a little drinking bout, and I'm not having any problems today because I don't drink every single night.
Right.
And I still went to bed at a reasonable time. You know, I got 9 hours of sleep last night. So it's okay that I drank a bunch of whiskey.
Yep.
You know, if I had stayed up until 4 in the morning pounding the whiskeys, you know, jerking off, watching fucking TV.
Not even porn, just jerking off, watching like head of the class.
And I'm saying it like that because it is funny, but I'm also saying it like that because I know more than 0 people that are doing that shit.
Yeah.
You know, I can think of somebody in particular right now, and it's not the man called Tubbs, although he is also, you know, he is one of those cry strokers. Fuck him. But I'm thinking of somebody else that, you know, oh yeah, you know, just, yeah, I've got this such and such problem. You know, I've got allergies. No, you don't have allergies. You've got a shitty diet. You don't exercise. You know, oh yeah, you're only 25 pounds overweight. Well, that's fucking 25 pounds overweight. That's fucking fucked up. You don't drink water. You don't, you know, if you're fucking if you're beating your meat 3 times a day, you're gonna need a lot more than 6 hours of sleep every night. And it's gonna take a lot more than some fucking Captain Crunch and a fucking, you know, 20 pack of chicken nuggets to recover that material. Because as the doctors will tell you, as a man, you lose a hell of a lot more than sperm every time you ejaculate. It's, again, and what do you, great, no, you can, you know, and I'm not saying this to out of some anti-sex attitude, but this comes right back to the topic of this video. If you exercise intensely, regularly, you can sustain that over a long period of time if you have a method of recovery from that exertion. If you are a man and you're ejaculating one or more times every day, you can't sustain that if you don't have a method of recovering from that exertion. You know, what are the things these guys, you know, I like to tease corny women and say there's no such thing as a pickup artist, you're just gullible. But it's kind of true, because this image that people have of a pickup artist doesn't exist. But there are guys that are getting laid every night, and they can afford to do that because they live a lifestyle conducive to repeated, sustained, and or intense sexual activity. They're not eating fucking Cocoa Puffs for breakfast.
Yeah.
They're not eating microwave dinners for dinner. They're not necessarily out there like a fucking, like the Soviet Olympic team, using chemistry to build a better human, but they're drinking water, they're exercising, they're minimizing their exposure to various types of environmental pollution, I'm going to say, like staring at a screen all day for work and then coming home and watching TV all night. And then when you do finally get in bed, sitting there with your phone, staring at that for another hour or two, that's a hell of a lot of light pollution.
Yeah. This may be,
not only damage your eyes.
I was gonna say, I don't know if this is too like occult, but something I've noticed, since I started practicing Kung Fu, and paying attention to sex, that different types of women make me feel different after the act. And I think it's actually, it's almost like maybe it's a survival skill, there are occasions where a row can be enriching and satisfying. And there's times where I feel like shit after, and it's my understanding that there's something with it. It's like it may not be something that I can like draw out an equation on the paper. This is what it show like my skeptical friend, but I listen to my body. It's like if my body doesn't want to have sex with a girl, then there's probably a reason for it. And I probably shouldn't have sex with her,
Exactly. People don't realize that your body chemistry is acid or base. It's, again, you can apply, there's a reason why the Chinese use the qi metaphor and yin yang theory to describe everything, because that's a great indexical system to describe a real phenomena. A way to not sound like an idiot and have the sort of conversation that Matt's just getting at is to talk about, you're having sex with a woman and you have incompatible qi. You're not, maybe you're going to feel drained afterward. Maybe you're going to feel dirty afterward. Not in like a moral sense of dirty, but maybe you're going to feel like you said, you feel like shit afterward. Let's get scientific. All right. She gets way too acid for you. Her body chemistry, her internal environment, it's not right. And you're having sex, you're doing a straight up fluid exchange.
Also, the mind's effect on breathing patterns makes a huge difference in coupling. So because I've noticed, if you really want to have like a rich, if you really want to like go deep and have like a rich experience sexually, then you need to be able to go slow, right? Because like you're not like, it's like we're not, dudes watch porn, they think they're gonna like jackhammer and like like confetti's gonna fall from the ceiling when she's come. It's like you're just gonna blow your load and it's over.
Exactly. There's a reason women mock low-skilled dudes with nicknames like Hoppy.
Awesome. Yeah, but I've noticed that like certain women of like an anxious disposition, maybe who get like stuck in their head, it affects their breathing. There have been occasions where it's like I'm trying to get in my zone and there's like this like panicky breath, like like really
exactly.
erratic.
Yeah, and it does.
And it's like
exactly. Yeah, and it does, and it sounds like that. That's why that
that's
illustration is hilarious. That's no good. Like, not only is that not sexy, but like, what are you doing? You're steam blasting me in my ear with this, this goofball fucking rhythm. That joke I love to make. Think about that iron black pillar in India that doesn't rust. It's right by the ocean. Think about baseball scores. You gotta fucking get away from that shit. No, but and again, it's the same sort of thing. You may not have the normal experience of, or actually a better way to say this, there are a lot of people in our culture who believe in the absolute truth and reality of a mind-body split. Your mind is not separate from your body.
Fucking
your body
assholes.
is not separate from your mind. Exactly. Yeah, that's asshole thinking.
Yeah.
And you're out here trying to have sex, like, great. There are really well-made and immersive video games where you can have your fucking character go and have sex with other characters in the world. That's not what sex between living human beings is like.
Oh yeah, totally. There was actually a Second Life documentary. I didn't watch the whole thing. I think my roommates were watching it when I first moved to New York.
Yeah.
I think it was a while ago. And like the sub story was like couple meets online. It's some loser dude and some woman with a husband and maybe a couple kids who's going to be meeting this guy from England who she's been having a virtual affair with. And, and her husband's like, it's cool. I understand she needs to do this, okay. And she's ready. She's like packed up. She's ready. She got the ticket, she's ready to go. And then she meets the dude and they had absolutely no chemistry. And it was just like, you just feel that drop, that stomach drop, like, the emptiness, yeah, it was funny and kind of like, darkly beautiful because that's like, yeah, I mean, like the head versus reality, right?
Yeah. You might be able to, I guess, like kind of click with someone mentally, like you're on the same wavelength, but you meet in person and it's just like,
yeah. Because it's all, I mean, it's like they say, like the nonverbal stuff, like where like compatibility, there's stuff, it's unconscious,
Mm-hmm.
when a girl takes a shine to you, it's like you're throwing out some signals, that she's picking up on, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
That's why like yeah, I was gonna say dating apps are like, it's like the
I was actually
anti-sex.
gonna say dating apps too, because that's like, I mean, I'm sure we've all had like an online dating account at some point,
yeah.
And it's just like it seems difficult to me. It's just like, sure, they look physically attractive to you, but and you read their description, which is like, basically like everything that they think is the best about them. Like, are you ready to like, there's the darker side of people. Are you ready to, like, can you click with this person regardless of like whether they're in the yin or the yang of their current, their like whatever they're doing. And it's just like, you can't, like, with someone you meet online, you can't even like begin to like get the the signals like what you were talking about at all whatsoever.
How are you gonna tell if that photo is a MySpace photo angle?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Also,
we all just kind of made a face like we. Yeah.
Yep.
I fell into that trap too.
Totally.
We've all.
I was gonna say
once.
In one of the kung fu books you directed me towards when we started training. I forget which one. It talked about, there was one part about knowing like how to see the changes in people, like the value, like get drunk with a person. What do they like when they're angry? That's awesome.
Give them a little power and see what they do with it.
Yeah. And I feel like with dating, it's the same kind of thing where like, like women, like when you were saying like Tubbs, like, thinking like a girl like will giggle at this joke and he's like, oh, this is a sure thing. Like there's, the attraction isn't like, she's like, oh yeah, he made a joke, I want to fuck that guy. And that's going to be a fixed condition. It's going to be like kind of ebb and flow, maybe she, it's like a spectrum of maybe. I met this girl my friend was hooking up with the other night, and I was having a conversation with her, and I was just like, this chick's crazy and I don't really like sitting next to her. And then the next day we're hanging out and she was there, and it's like, she's okay. She's crazy. I don't like sitting next to her, but like there was this like spectrum within the person. You can't like with the profile that's not, it's just like a dead image, just a dead thought.
Exactly. Yeah, the traces, one of my favorite things that certain philosophers will do is point out that if you're idolizing a teacher or a thinker from the past, you aren't really doing anything with that individual. You're just you're chasing the trash that's left. It doesn't matter. You weren't there to get the direct teaching. They may have been a great teacher, but that was X number of years or centuries or millennia ago. What's it going to do for you now?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, as we've been saying, they're living their life like that. There's just this constant expenditure and there's no recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's an unpleasant, unfortunate state of affairs. But what can you do? Learn Kung Fu.
I wanted to talk about the so one similarity between yoga and internal martial arts is the practicing slowly. Like you slow your mind down, you move slow, which allows like subtle energy to be perceived and developed.
Yeah.
And it also creates a benefit because things exist on a, like I was thinking in terms of injury and pain existing on a gradient. Like you're going to get, your body is going to give you warning. People don't just hurt themselves. You know what I mean? Your body will give you warnings like, that's going to hurt you, bro. If you keep, and it's one of the important parts of regular practice, because then you can catch those messages. And when it's time to sleep more, it's like, it's times where it's like, I need a full night's sleep. Yeah. I'm not going to meet up for a drink with my friends or whatever, your body will tell you that. Or with the massage, actually. Like I was working in New York recently and I had these busted up shoes. And by the end of the trip, my foot was fucked up, like the top, I don't know, like the top part here. Yeah. I don't usually feel like that, but I got back and I'm like, you know what? I have to throw down on new shoes that fit, shoes that are comfortable. And I even had like a broken blood vessel in my big toe. It's like, right, exactly. Massage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. A nice, simple sort of thing. You can pick up books, video material. Hell, this exact program, there's even an app for your smartphone. There's no shortage of opportunities to gain this material. There are people willing to teach. There are self-teaching, materials and courses out there. You can get it. It's just a matter of, do you want it? And if you've always got an excuse, but you've never got the time, then I think that's pretty obvious what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
I can't come and practice today, Brad. I've got to cry myself to sleep tonight and be upset that some woman didn't want to play the role of a man in a relationship. Tough. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I'll be right back. I'm going to get coffee. I'll be right back.
Yeah. But that's, again, my... well, it's coming up on 6 o'clock. I have no idea how long we've been going, but this has definitely gotten away from the concept of recovery practice, and that's okay, because we are all recovering from our daily lives and our mental exertions at our jobs by making fun of people with asymmetrical haircuts and who tell you their pronouns. Fuck that. It's ridiculous. Drink some water. Do a sit-up.
Yeah, do anything.
Right? Do push-ups. Don't just flop down on your beer belly and be like, push up.
Or even just walk properly. Don't walk people walking with a waddle because they think it looks hip.
Yeah.
But it's like they're going to give them hip problems later. It's like, no, just walk like a normal person.
Yeah.
A lot of people break their feet and shit from walking wrong. I met a couple people that broke an ankle, just falling through life.
My favorite thing about teaching Bagua is all right, first we're going to teach you how to walk. Oh, I know how to walk. Clearly you don't. You don't. Because you've got skinny arms, a skinny leg. I can see your ribs, but you also have a belly and man tits. Your cheeks are gaunt, but you have a triple chin. You don't know how to do basic shit like walk and breathe and stand up.
Yeah. I also wanted to, I think it's important to at least briefly talk about sleep and the importance of sleep in recovery. Lately I've thought a lot about, because I've had a weirder, like I basically went from working like a couple times a week to like now I have 6 jobs, and and was like going into New York to do some shit. So like my sleep schedule got fucked up. But I think about the sleep debt. I don't think you need to be neurotic about it, but like I maybe am a little, like we're all like actually I'll just kind of bear in mind like I'm about 5 hours off, you know, and then like, you know, slept like 11 hours and be like, all right, I'm more or less evened out, you know?
Yeah. There are people living their lives like that. You know, you're doing it once to kind of make up for some lost time, but there are people who are. My mother does that. She'll stay up for 2-3 days straight, sleep.
Oh Christ!
She's doing that, like, you know, in a 7-day week, you're only sleeping 3 days out of 7. That's weird. You're not supposed to do that. Or again, the man called Tubbs. Oh, it'll be okay. You know, I use weed to go to sleep at night. Well, bro, you're not really sleeping at night. You're passing out.
Right.
And passing out is not sleeping. You're not getting rest. You're simply unconscious. That's not going to fly.
Naps can be a really useful tool. And like the kind of like general guidelines that I've come to know is you want to sleep less than 45 minutes, or then it's 90 minutes, right? So that it's like, you know, people usually sleep in 4-hour sleep cycles.
Yeah.
And so then so you could do like 4 hours, obviously you're not going to take a nap like that. You could do 90 minutes if you absolutely needed to. Other than that, less than 45 and you don't get groggy. And like, so even like 15, 20 minutes can really make a difference if you're kind of like, you know, if your energy's on the low end. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And for those people that always have something to say, you know, hearing what you just said, if their response is, well, if I lay down for a nap, I'm going to sleep for hours. Well, that's because you aren't sleeping enough.
Right.
You need to go to bed. You don't need a nap. You need, you know,
actual,
you need to go sleep for a day, 2 days, whatever. Get yourself right. Drink some water, take a walk.
Yeah.
Let the sun hit you on the skin.
Yeah.
That's not going to work, you know.
Don't be inside all day in a situation like this where there's no light.
Yeah. Get a vitamin D. Take some vitamin D.
Yeah.
We were talking, you know, before we started recording and before you joined in, Alex, Matt and I had discussed things like most people with sleep problems have a magnesium deficiency.
Yeah.
Most people with mood disorders and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of skin problems, it's a combination of vitamin E and vitamin D deficiency. You know, I told the doctors at the beginning of last year when I was beginning the treatment to recover from Crohn's, like, all right, we're going to do some blood work and we're going to see, you know, what your blood sugar level is like. We're to see, you know, how you're doing nutrients wise. I was like, well, I definitely have a vitamin D deficiency. And the doctor was like, why do you say that? The nurse who was taking my blood scoffed, like I'm an idiot, like I don't know what I'm talking about. And the doctor asked me, why do you say that? I laid out why. You know, I come back for my next appointment a couple of days later, they get the lab results back. You were exactly right. That is, your biggest problem is you have a huge vitamin D deficiency. And I went like this to the nurse. Yeah, you're right. I spend every day with him. I know exactly what's going on with that guy. So, it's real simple stuff. The best way to get vitamin D is to go outside and have sunlight in. Well, I couldn't do that because I couldn't stand up. So they gave me these giant horse pills, you know, like big as my thumb, and just popping these ultra doses, and it went a long way to get me back. I still had no stamina, but I could at least, instead of being bent over at the waist, like actual bent over like I'm a 120-year-old man, I was able to kind of stand up to what passes for normal. You know, you see a lot of people, sick people that are around 6 feet tall, they kind of got that heads leaning forward, they get the turkey neck, and the shoulders are up high and the back is all hunched. I could at least get to that, you know, because that was my biggest problem. Was I didn't have any strength. I didn't have any stamina once I got the vitamin D.
Yeah.
One nurse one time was like, maybe you should sleep more. It's like, lady, I sleep like 18 hours. I sleep like a cat, 18 hours a day. Sleep isn't the issue. No food is the issue.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of stuff. You can, again, Dr. Yang will say in most of his books, feeling is a language. It's the language that your body uses to communicate with your mind.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to be an asshole about it and insist on a mind-body split, which, you know, a couple of minutes of deliberate breathing should show you that is 100% not the case, because you can change how your body feels and your state of mind with just some breathing. It's real simple. You know, as we've all said already in multiple different ways here, you can change the conditions that you find yourself in. If you want something, you can go get it. You know, obviously, if what you want is something irrational, you know, if you want to lead the 1987, 1988 Denver Broncos to the Super Bowl, well, you're not going to do that because it's 2019 and you're not John fucking Elway.
Okay.
You know? Oh, I want, you know, the man called Tubbs. Oh, I want people to respect me. Well, you don't have dignity.
Yeah.
You really debase yourself. You humiliate yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Dudes aren't going to respect you because you try to overcompensate, and it's obvious. Women don't respect you because you're domineering in public, and in private you're a fucking bitch. They don't like that. No woman is going to, and this isn't a situation where I'm speaking for the women, but anybody with an ounce of brains in their heads can tell no woman is going to hitch her wagon to some insecure jackass, you know? Some person that's going to sit there and cry themselves to sleep every night for you know, all sorts of goofy reasons. And I'm not even making fun of him anymore. Now it's just, you know, I can't count the number of, I've got a couple of friends that I don't need to, when we talk about women or our relationships, it's, you know, oh yeah, this thing happened and it's funny because that's an amusing situation or this amusing line got used. It's not, oh, how do I get her to love me? You know, I like talking about this stuff with you, Matt, because you're not going to ever be like, oh, I just want someone to love me. That's, you know, I talk to my boy Paul because when he talks about his marriage, it isn't my wife doesn't respect me. It's, you know, he tells, it's not the same story, but like, if his wife sometimes will say things like, well, if I died, you just go and get remarried. He's like, hell no. Being married is awful. I'm never doing this again.
Awesome. Yeah, Paul.
She doesn't believe it. But yes. I like, you know, he tells me these stories and that's great. When I tell him about what's going on in my relationship, I'm not sitting there like, oh, bro, I don't think she, no, I'm not doing shit like that. I'm going, we were drinking the other night and she said da, 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 and it was hilarious. Like, it's easy to get what you want, whether what you want is material success, social success, you want to have a certain type of body, you want to have certain people in your life, you know, you want a reputation, it's easy to do. You can just go and do it. My favorite philosopher Spongza said, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. You have to start. You have to act in order to gain. And the best way to make sure that you can continue to act over a long period of time is to have a recovery practice, an exercise regimen, a health maintenance regimen or practice, anything. You don't have to be, we all love martial arts, but maybe you're a non-confrontational type. Well, there are plenty of things that aren't throwing punches and kicks in the air that you can do that are going to keep you healthy and happy and able to move forward in life and achieve your goals. Getting a little too inspirational there. My voice was starting to cut out. I haven't made fun of anybody or, you know, anybody in too long a time. But yeah, I mean, it's easy. You can do it. You just have to start.
Random shit. This is just a random thing too, but I think it's important. I think grooming fits within the compass of recovery and like basic maintenance that maybe a lot of people skip out on. You know, it's like Yeah.
One of our earlier episodes.
Don't be stinking. Don't be walking.
Exactly. One of the earlier episodes we recorded, my girl Carrie came home just as we were finishing. And she walked in and, you know, she didn't get on camera, so neither of you saw this, but she kind of looked over at me and did one of these like, what the fuck type faces. We finish up, stop recording. I'm shutting everything down. She goes, what are you doing? And I, like a goon, I'm like, well, it's me and the guys and we're recording it. And she's like, you were on camera like that? You didn't even wash your hair? And I'm like, oh. She was right. I was just like you just said. If we had smell-o-vision, that episode would be the fucking one with all the downvotes because I was filthy that day. You know, it's like, oh, you can't see any crust on my face, so I'm clean. But anybody looking at the haircut would have been like, yeah, you're looking awfully French there, brother. Yeah, it goes a long way. Simple hygiene, grooming, being personable. That guy, Rusty Buckets, that I knew. What's his biggest problem? He's so insecure that he would freak out. You know, like he was sociable enough to get women to agree to go out with him. They'd start to date, and then it'd just be the two of them, and he would have these massive insecurity-fueled panic attacks in front of him. People don't like that. Women don't like that. Men don't like that. People don't.
I hate that.
Exactly. Again, like one of my lines that I used to use that Matt's quoted. You know, insecurity. Dogs hate insecurity.
Yeah,
I hate it. That's how it is. If you're gonna be like that, people aren't gonna give you a chance. No, it's not fair. But what do you want? You're telling them that you're not worth the time. You're telling them that you are a liability. What do you expect to happen?
It's infantile. Well, it's telling them, you know, I need a mom. You know, he's like wants a mommy or something. And I mean, somebody to like coddle him and like, you know, like rock him to whatever. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Girls don't like that. Girls don't want to do that.
They're afraid of me. No, bro, they're not afraid of me. Cry after sex. Women hate that. It's not that I've met every woman that's ever lived or ever will. It's just that I know how people work. And when you cry after doing something normal, people tend to go, what the fuck? You know, maybe the first time they'll be like, are you all right? But if you start doing it regularly, they're going to be like, yeah, don't touch me.
Yeah. Personal experience was I was awake for so long because my coworker didn't show up for work a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. I actually had a panic attack in one of the manufacturing plants. I started freaking out because I hadn't slept.
Oh, wow.
So I was awake for almost 23 hours straight, and I haven't slept yet because my routine is freaking go straight from work to home, get in bed, get ready to sleep, and then actually sleep. Then wake up at around 1:30, and then get ready for my routine, go take care of the dogs, make sure they're fed, freaking, you know, go take care of some chores or errands or whatever. And then in the evening time, get ready to go to work. And that's my regular routine now, which is a stark contrast from what I was doing just a few months ago, earlier this summer. Yeah. But like, I hadn't gone to bed yet. And because I had worked, like, I had already did like a 10-hour shift, and my coworker didn't show up for 4 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
So they were basically 4 hours late for work. And I started panicking because I hadn't slept yet, and I wasn't able to focus on just opening up a door or opening up one of the bulkheads. I wasn't able to do it, and I started panicking. And I had to go, like, I just stopped what I was doing. I went straight to the office, and I sat down to try to calm myself down. I couldn't calm myself down until, like, I grabbed my huge water bottle, and I started chugging it like this just to do something. Yeah. And my supervisor was like, are you okay? And there were dudes that he was screening out of the building. I was like, no. I'm like, I'm freaking out, man. I'm like, I gotta go sleep. I'm just like, I know, like, I know that, you know, so-and-so is not in for work yet, but I really started freaking out in the office. And it was really bad too. In retrospect, like, if you had seen from the cameras, you would just see me like, woo. So he's like, dude, just go to your car and go take a nap. I went straight to my car. Like, you didn't have to skip a beat. Just got up, went straight to my car outside, and got comfy for like 30 minutes. And like I didn't even like rest or anything, but I just sat down in my car, just started it, turned on like the ice cold air because I knew I could feel my temperature rising because I was freaking out. Yeah, I was sweating, but like I wasn't working out, so I was just profusely sweating. And so I just sat there in my car, just like trying to fucking take my whole situation, just kick it down one by one. It's like, all right, you're in your car, you're fine, you're at work. You've done hours like this before. Why are you freaking out now? You've done a 72-hour shift before. Why are you freaking out now? You were in a hole. You were covered in dirt and possibly animal dung.
Yeah, that's
and by a gun.
That's it. But that's different.
Yeah.
When you do that in the military, there's a hell of a good motivation to do it and to not freak out. But when you're just working some job.
Yeah, but it was just like, you've done this before. Why are you freaking out? Why are you being a bitch? So I was like, I had to like, all right, yeah, I'm fine. And I had to just talk myself into fucking like, why am I freaking out about this shit? Like, yeah, I haven't slept yet, but it's whatever. This is the nature of the nature of the job I work for. I work with fucking idiots. And so
one way or another, we all do.
Yeah. But got out of my car, went back to the office. I was like, all right, let's go. What needs to happen next? He's like, oh, you're fine. I'm like, yeah, I spent 30 minutes just trying to fucking calm myself down. Like, I'm fine. I was freaking out because I haven't slept yet. But you can see the bags under my eyes. Like they were coming down. Like I was looking like Deadpool. It was bad. I just needed to like get a red mask on. I fit the bill perfectly, but like it was not pretty. So like if someone's having a panic attack, there needs to be a damn good fucking reason for you to fucking start freaking out. Like you just watch someone's fucking head turn into a red mist in front of you. Definitely you should be having a panic attack. You should be freaking out, getting ready to fucking do something about your survival. If you're just doing a normal thing, like fucking Rusty, after having sex, you start crying, and the dicks underneath your eyelids are like.
To his credit, he wasn't crying after sex. He was, doing that thing, making that noise, the Rusty noise after sex.
Mm-hmm.
He was crying after, he'd call his dad and basically be like, "Daddy, love me," and his dad would be like. Brush him off. I get away. We should probably end this anyway because it's been like 2.5 hours.
Into the night.
Right? Do a sign off real quick. I'll edit it so that we end with the sign off, and that hour of just making fun of people for their life choices won't make it in, so we can keep the video on topic.
Oh, we should also make the shirts are back up again.
Yeah. I'm gonna mention that. So.
Look at me jumping the gun. Fucking.
No problem. So, Kung Fu Discussion Group, episode 7. Now we're wrapping up. We've been discussing recovery practice. As always, I'm your Uncle Sickness. With me, Maeko, YogaMidnight. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram. Check the description below. You can find links for the Sickness Kung Fu email list and Sickness Kung Fu hoodies and shirts, as you can see. Right there.
Yeah, I'll get up and show them the back real
Proudly
quick.
Rocking a Sickness Kung Fu shirt. They are extremely, extremely intricate in their design, as you can clearly tell.
Maybe.
Get yours now, or else flying monkeys will bully you. So, for the Kung Fu Discussion Group, this is Uncle Sickness. Have a nice night. Build up your Kung Fu. Stupid? No good? With no talent? You shouldn't talk like that. We can fix your problem very quickly.